Good evening, everybody. Thank you for attending an extra meeting, I suppose it is, tonight. The first thing we need to do is go through the minutes of our last meeting, the one at the beginning of April. Does anybody wish to move that we accept those minutes as a true and correct record? Is there anything that anyone wants to discuss from those minutes?
Madam Chair, we still need apologies and disclosures of members' interest first.
Sorry, I don't have this. Because I don't have a printed copy right in front of me. I'm a bit flawed.
That's all right. So
yeah.
For apologies, we have received apologies from Councillor Webber, and that's it at this stage.
Okay. Can we move that apology be accepted? Somebody moves that?
I'll second that.
Thank you. All those in favour?
Sorry, excuse me. Who moved? Who seconded? Sorry, I missed that.
It was me and Karen and Alana seconding.
Cool, Joe.
Right.
Next, Madam Chair, you got disclosures of members' interests.
Any disclosures of members' interests? No. Right. No one's fine. Was there anything in the last minutes that anybody wants to discuss? Nothing arising? No? Are we happy to accept that as a true and correct record of our last meeting then? Somebody care to move that?
I will, Sue.
Thank you, Mike. Got a seconder?
I'll second that, Sue.
Thanks, Elise. All those in favour?
I guess
So I think the next item on the agenda is actually the discretionary grants. There's been a number of them. So if we perhaps just go through them all. The first one is the Repertory Society, who would like a amount of money to buy ladders. Now, does anybody want to discuss that or about what they feel? I can't recall at the moment. I don't have a printed copy with me.
I think the Cambridge Repertory Society does great work, and I'd be happy to support them with the full amount.
Yes, sorry, I've just found the request thing. I too would be happy to support them. Has anybody else got anything they wish to say about the amount that the Cambridge Repertory Society would like? No?
Happy to support their request, Madam Chair.
Okay, so if we go through the requests and then we just move them all at the end of the discussion, okay, by which stage we'll know how much money we've got left, if anything. Grey Power want a data projector. How do we feel about that one? Any? No.
Grey Power is also it's a very important group in our community, and I think it's a reasonable request. So I'd be happy to support that one as well.
Yeah.
Okay, and they were after 1,500.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Interlock.
Sue, just one point on the Grey Power, and this applies generally. The applications are meant to be exclusive of GST, and I notice it's pretty random whether they're inclusive or exclusive. The Grey Power one in particular was obviously inclusive. So maybe, Karen, if you just keep tabs on that.
Yes, that's a very good point. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you. Do you want me to remove the GST content off that $1,500?
Yeah, I probably would. I mean, they've actually put in the retail price that they're paying, so I'd back up.
I missed that one. So it's $1,304.35 is what I've come up with.
Right. Okay.
Point.
The next one is the Interlock request for funding, which seemed there was quite a lot of money they are actually looking for, I think. So,
12,000, I think, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, they do a very good job, but this was, I am pleased to see that they've now got somebody on board who's acting as their chairman. They've been, for a long time, it's just been the Ewers doing it. And I think having somebody else come on board he is an accountant by trade, I gather. I have met him, and just trying to keep a more regulated way of doing things on it. So I'm not sure. The US are doing a wonderful job, but how do people feel about that?
Yeah, no, I agree, Sue. They do some excellent work in our community, and I would like to support them. It's just the amount that I'm not sure on.
Yes, that's the thing. I mean, they do get a lot of people at their workshops that they have every week. You know, they're catering for a sizable proportion of, you know, what could be described as the disabled community, and they are doing amazing things. So, any comments here?
So I just had a bit of a comment, and it's probably broader than just the Interlock one. This request represents something like a quarter of our annual discretionary grant, and you know, we're not in the business of holding back funds. We need to be giving this away. It's why we have the fund. But and I do think that our 2 funding rounds is a big improvement on what we used to have, but it slightly worries me now that the first funding round was massively oversubscribed. The second one's not. We are in a position to give this all away, but if you you know, if you look back at the groups who missed out on the first one, and then to fully fund this one with a quarter of our discretionary grant going to one outfit, it slightly worries me. So I just wanted to hear what other people had to think, had thought about that, and whether we are in the business of rolling forward the discretionary grant of the next year, or do we want to give it all away in the financial year in which we delegated it?
I think, sorry.
You go, Alana. No, you go.
I was just going to say that I think we would be smart to hold some funds back in case there's anything else that comes up in the remainder of our term. I don't have any problem really with leaving any over to the next board if that's how it works out. But I wouldn't want us to be running things too close to the line. Yeah.
No. So does anybody want to suggest a starting amount for
Sorry, Sue, can we just discuss it? Can we just discuss this concept a little bit more, if that's okay? It's just perhaps a bit more discussion. I think the other thing, while I really think their charity is doing important work, and I think the opportunity for growth and to support more of the community could be well supported by a significant grant from us. I also think the community probably isn't used to our dual funding rounds as well. So we've had lots of people signing up for that first funding round, perhaps not realising that there would be another funding round coming ahead. So we may see it maybe in the future that balances out a little bit. But I second Mike's concern that if we give a large percentage of our funds to one charity, does that place a precedent? Is it saying that we value one charity's work over another, or and we just need to be mindful of that. But where we land with a number, because the truth is we do have funds there and we could roll them forward. But I guess I would err on the side of being generous in terms of our grant amount, because we have the money there. We haven't got, what are we now? April, May, June, like we've only got a few more months. It's unlikely we're going to have other requests coming in before the end of this financial year. So I guess just when considering the figure, I would err towards the generous side of things, and considering they missed out on the first funding round because they didn't apply appropriately. So it's good to see that this application is being filled out in full. Just some things to that are bubbling around in my mind about this particular application.
Okay, so would somebody like to suggest an amount that they feel would be appropriate?
I was thinking, Sue, around the 4,000 to 4,500 mark.
Yeah.
Under half, but it would still be a sizable and generous.
Yeah.
And still allow to do lots with that.
Yeah. Yeah. How do the rest of you feel?
That sounds about right to me. I'm with Joe.
Okay. Yeah. No, that sounds reasonable.
I think the largest grant we've done in my term with the board, it was to the urban miners, and that was 4,900 or something to that effect. Do you remember that, Karen? What we gave them? That was our biggest grant yet. So I think that's something to perhaps keep in mind as our top end of what we would give to a single group in a funding round.
Just bear with me and I'll just find it. That would have been in your first.
Yeah.
Would have been. Yeah, just bear with me and I'll just see if I can find it.
I believe it's actually in this urban miners application because it's
they were reported on it.
catalogued as one of the grants they've had.
It'll be in their public excluded.
In the 2019 funding round, they requested and received $5,450. And
I just wonder if it's worth keeping that number in mind as we. But what are we prepared to? What's perhaps the top end for a single organisation?
Yeah. Right.
So just bear with me just for a moment. The proposed number was 4,000 to 4,500 for Interlock. What's the final number?
Anybody?
I'd be happy to go 5,000. I don't think that $500 will make a difference to our discretionary fund, but I think it could make a really significant difference to the access for the community to what they're doing.
Do we want to leave a question mark for now and then make a final decision once we've gone through the others? Or?
Yeah, we'll do that. Okay, we'll look at the next one, which is the Leomington Croquet Club. It's a small club, 30 members, and they're asking for $2,000 for their lawn mowing. So how do we, as I say, it's a small club, you know, each member's paying $248 per year in a subscription, which isn't providing much, and I'm not sure how much they're paying for the lease of their ground because it's on council property. So how do we feel about the Leomington Croquet Club's application? Nobody's feeling anything.
Well, I don't know that it fulfills our directive for COVID resilience. However, community is a part of COVID resilience, and if this provides an opportunity for members of the community to get together and socialise, and they need short lawns for croquet, then I think it's interesting and worth discussion.
Any more comments?
I'm surprised that this isn't something that council just do as part of their maintenance of.
Yeah.
I guess they must be quite specific in their requirements of the lawns for croquet.
Yeah. Because I know that council does mow other community lease properties. The Girl Guide Hall, for example, their lawns are mowed by council. So I'm not quite sure. Gary, do you know?
Well, I would imagine it is something quite specific, like a putting green or something like that. It would have to be. I imagine it would require, rolling and cutting to a higher level than what we would certainly do for parks anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. So, should we consider that 2,000? I think they've had a grant before for this. Can we move on to the Leomington Women's Institute? This is $1,500 for their delegate to go to the national conference. I think they applied last year as well. Do you remember?
I don't remember that.
No, I don't think they did. I think this is the first time I've seen them.
Yeah. Okay. So how do we feel about that one?
I think certainly a partial grant here would be good. Probably not the entire amount, just from my perspective, but yeah.
I guess the difficult thing with these two applications really are the smaller numbers in their organisation.
Yeah.
And how much it would kind of work out to be per person. So they've currently got 14 members.
Yeah. And so it is a difficult one. Yeah, well,
Do you
And they
think?
do some great work with like the knitting projects that they have for the prem babies and domestic violence people and lots of things like that. So they are doing good work. It's a small organisation, and whether we reflect that in the amount that we give them or not.
I wonder if we're going to come back to the same issue of how much do we apportion someone of the grant. In the past, we've always given a percentage of what people have asked for simply because we've had a lower limit on what we had available. In my mind, we have the funds to support these organisations, knowing that we've only got 2 or 3 months left before the next round. This conference enables a member of this small organisation to connect with the mothership, so to speak, and continue continue the existence of the organisation. I don't know, are we giving our grants based on merit of their work in the community, or I'm not sure we have clear framework to guide us on how much someone should get of what they've requested. Like, is it size of organisation? Is it how much we value their work? In the past, it's been we simply haven't had enough money, so we can only afford to give someone this percentage of what they've requested. That's not the problem we face today. We have enough to provide everybody with what they've requested. So I would personally be erring on the side of, we have the funds, I'd be happy to send that person down to the conference. And I would just hope that in future funding rounds, we get a more balanced application from the community as they discover that we've got the 2 funding rounds. That's where I stand on these smaller asks. I'm just happy to do it. We've got the funds there, and that's my general opinion around these small requests we have. Obviously, the 12 grand one is a different conversation, but for these, the money's there, in my opinion. Yeah. But very happy to hear other people's thoughts on that.
I think you made a very good point. Somebody going to say something? Right. Well, shall we say we'll give the Leomington WI 1,500?
I'm happy for that. So we can always come back to it at the end.
Yeah, the same way we can come back and look at the Croquet Club.
Yeah.
Now, we've got how far through a week of this?
Rotary Urban Miners, I think.
The Urban Miners, who want $4,435 for the battery collection. They provided the battery collection boxes or whatever they were in Te Awamutu, and it's actually up to the Te Awamutu board, community board, to pick up all these things, so that then Rotary just picks up from one spot. But I'm presuming that if they did it here in Cambridge, they'd be picking them up. We wouldn't have to be emptying the things into something to take to their
Sorry, Madam Chair, if I could just correct you there. So the Te Awamutu community actually paid for the building of the boxes have set aside funds. The urban miners, when the boxes are full, batteries, then the urban miners come in and pick them up.
Oh, they come pick them up.
They come pick them up, and then the Te Awamutu Community Board also set aside some funds to cover the cost of getting the batteries recycled.
Of course, yes, there is a cost for recycling.
Yes.
Yes. So the urban miners are asking $4,435. How do people feel about that?
This is another one where I really strongly support what they're doing in our community. I think they do a great job, and I'd be happy to support the full amount.
I agree.
Okay, everybody happy with that?
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Okay. Now, how far through are we?
We're on to the Waikato Community Hospice Trust.
The Hospice Trust, yes. They're basically asking for $2,000 to pay the rent of their shop. I personally think that's something we should be supporting. They do a great job in the community. And, it's a lot of money that they're having to pay to rent the shop. So I think I'm happy to move that we pay them the full amount they're asking for.
Madam Chair, can I request a public excluded discussion on this one, please?
Yes, you may. All those in favour of going to public exclusion?
So can we have a seconder for that? We're assuming Elise is moving.
Well, I'll second that.
Thanks, Sue.
Okay.
I was like, denied, you can't go to public excluded.
So once the motion is carried, I'll remove the live stream section, and then once we go back into public, I'll restart the live section. So if you want to carry the motion or get the motion passed to move go into public excluded.
All those in favour?